Sanctuary. The Sanctuary with Caroline.
At night, you talk.
Free Radio.
Now, tonight, I want to talk about bullying, school bullying. Now, we've talked about this before a few times, but we've never just talked about school bullying. And I felt the time was right to do this as kids across the Midlands go back to school. Now, whether it's name-calling, physical abuse, spreading lies, homophobia, or doing it online, bullying has to stop at school. Now, I've been on Facebook for, the majority of the day, to be quite honest with you, going through some messages that I've been sent into the inbox on both Facebooks. And to be quite honest with you, it's been absolutely heartbreaking to read some of these stories that have been coming in from kids that daren't go to parents, they daren't go to teachers, they daren't get any help, they feel isolated, they feel secluded, they don't feel that they've got anywhere to turn, which is, presumably why they've been messaging me. But reading through, I have been able, in a few instances, to actually be in touch with the parents and hopefully, set the ball rolling for things to get better. But it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking to read some of these messages that are coming in. You would think that, your school days should be the best years of your life. You should go there, you should be able to have fun, learn, play with your mates and, have the memories to look back on in later life of carefree years where, the only hassle you had was whether you'd got your maths homework in or your science project in or anything like that. But no. Some kids are dreading every single day of going into that school. And it's not just in the school as well. It happens outside. It happens when they meet people in the street. In some cases, these kids aren't even daring to go out of their own house. That is how afraid they feel, and that's how affected by it they are. And reading them, you can't help but to be shaken and moved by it. To the point that my son came in from school today and I was sat by the computer. He's 12 and I said, can you read this letter that I've been sent and tell me what you think of it? And he read it and I'll read it to you soon, okay? He read it, but he said this little girl hadn't dared tell her mum. And he said a lot of kids won't though, mum. They won't go to their parents because they fear that the situation is going to be made worse by doing that. He talked about it with some of his friends and that is what they'd concluded. And that absolutely horrified me, even though I should know by my own experience with him that this does indeed happen, because Jude was once bullied in school and it turned out that there was a group of them that were doing it and he didn't dare tell me or his dad for fear of us going up there and, trouble being made and then them getting their own back on him and the situation being made worse. One of his friends actually told his mum in the end, and then his mum contacted me and then it was dealt with. And in fairness to the school, it was dealt with swiftly. And we've had no trouble, touch wood, since then. If only it could be done like that with everybody. And luckily, Jude had a good set of friends that made sure that they were around him and that could help him and not leave him on his own. But some of these children are isolated. They are by themselves. They don't have anybody to turn to. Maybe they did have friends, but those friends have been turned against them too now. And tonight, I know tonight will be an emotional show. And I know that we say that the sanctuary is for adults only, but tonight, I really, really hope that children are listening. Maybe if the kids are upstairs or they're getting ready to go back to school, maybe it is worth listening to this show with them. Encourage them to talk, encourage them to speak out, and give us a hand tonight in saying no more bullies. And I think it's going to be helpful for parents as well, whose children may be going through this. And maybe your child is one that I've mentioned, one of the ones that daren't come to you, not because they don't love you, not because they don't trust you, but because they're just afraid of what's going to happen if they do. And maybe tonight, after we've listened to some of these stories, after we've talked to some of the people that this is happening to, you will know some of the signs to look out for and know what to do should this actually happen to your child. So tonight, bullying at school. Have your kids been through it? How did you find out? and how did it affect them? Now, my son's school, as I said, were great, but we're hearing that some schools aren't helping our children. They're ignoring bullying. It doesn't happen at our school. It does. These messages that I'm getting proves that our kids, in some cases, are being let down by the people that we trust to look after them. We're trusting people to look after our kids, and they are being let down. If you think that this is going on, don't ignore it. And I think that message has to go for the teachers too. I'm not saying that all schools are like this and that, all schools turn a blind eye. That isn't what I'm saying at all. But for as long as there is even just one out there that are turning a blind eye and saying, oh, this doesn't happen in our school, when it so blatantly does, we still have a problem. Let's try and make a start tonight to doing something about that.
The best of the Sanctuary.
Let's have a chat to Jessica. Now, Jessica is in Market Drayton. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Caroline.
Hello, Jessica. Now, you're 15, aren't you, Jess?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, we've got permission to kind of have you on, though. I will kind of state that because, as we know, this is strictly for adults normally. But tell me about your younger sister. I mean, your younger sister was bullied, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was throughout her first year of secondary school. So she was in year 7. I think she was around 11 years old.
Right.
And she used to get picked on around when, on the bus, on the way to school and on the way home.
When you say picked on, in what way?
It was basically, at first, it was calling names, and they used to throw stuff at her, and it was. They were just being really quite horrible about her.
And what effect did this have on your sister, Jess?
Well, she'd hide away in her bedroom and just not speak to anybody, because we only found out because one of her friends had found out about it and she'd been talking to her, and that's when we went straight to the school to try and sort things out.
Now, did that succeed? Were the school helpful?
Well, I think at first it was quite helpful because they'd understand what they were doing and they'd seen what they were doing. But unfortunately, after about a month or so, after the meeting, I'll call it, when they speak to each other to see how it makes them feel, they kind of started up again, but a lot more brutal.
So what happened then?
Well, they started threatening her and holding her up against the corridor walls and threatening her. And somehow they got hold of her phone number and started calling her at 1 a.m. in the morning. And they just kind of affected all aspects of her life.
So when these phone calls were coming in, and when your parents found out about it, what action was taken then?
We couldn't actually do anything about it because it kept coming from a phone box, payphone. So we couldn't really track it back. But eventually, my sister stood up to them, and it stopped after that.
And how old's your sister, Jess?
She's now 14.
And how old was she when this was going on?
About 11 years old.
You see, that is just absolutely heartbreaking, is it? 11 years old and having to go through that and having to deal with that. Now, after she stood up to them and after it stopped, what were the consequences of that for her? Did it take her long to kind of go out as she would once have done, to enjoy life, to not go out feeling nervous, worried that this was going to happen again?
It took her about a few months just to get back to normal again because she thought, oh, they're still going to call me in the morning and it's still going to carry on. But, it took her a while just to adjust back to her normal self.
Now, she's your little sister, and it must have been heartbreaking for you to see her going through all of that. How did it make you feel?
I felt really horrible about it, that I couldn't like help her in any way, because I didn't know how to deal with them because they were in the year above me.
Mm.
And yeah, it was hard for me to take in when she first told me herself.
And why? Did you ever find out why, kids in the year above you were doing this to your little sister that was 11 years old? Why did they single her out?
I think it's just because, well, they just thought they were having a laugh. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these cases, where they just think it's a joke, and obviously it isn't.
Well, I can tell you through reading some of the messages that I've had tonight, if there is anybody out there that is doing this to somebody and they think that they're having a laugh, they may want to rethink this one, because it is absolutely wrecking people's lives and something does have to be done about it. What your sister went through was horrendous, Jessica. I'm pleased that it was dealt with and that, she managed to stand up for them. How is she now?
She's gained a lot more of her confidence back, and she's completely back to her old self again. She goes out with her friends in town, and she's really happy now.
Fantastic. And if you have a message for anyone being bullied, what is it? Talk to them as somebody that has witnessed your own sister going through this. Tell them how you feel.
All you've got to do is just, you can't ignore it. If you know that it's going on, you need to tell someone and you need to talk to somebody, because things will get better from then on. If it's not the school, then you need to tell friends, a family member, and I think that's the main thing to do.
The best of the sanctuary.
There's a simple message tonight. No more bullies. We've been asking people if they would write it on their hand. Okay, just write hashtag no more bullies. Take a picture of that and then send it to the sanctuary at freeradio.co.uk. You can email on that, the sanctuary at freeradio.co.uk. If you send that picture and then email it in to us, okay? And it's Caroline Martin on Facebook. Send them in to me. We'll put them up there. Let's get as many as we possibly can. And if you're on Twitter as well, could you just put the hashtag no more bullies, okay? Send us a tweet, put the hashtag no more bullies, and let's get that going around as well. It's at On The Sanctuary. That's at On The Sanctuary and at We Are Free Radio. Send it to all and let's just kind of like get this going around and try and get this message across. No more bullies.
At night, you talk.
Talking about bullying in schools tonight. Lots of the children have gone back to school. Many, as we're hearing, dreaded going back after the summer holidays because they were bullied before the holidays and they were afraid that it was all going to start off again. And in many cases, sadly, they were proved right. It has. And tonight's simple message, no more bullies. If you could do what we've done, and that's just write it on your hand. Go get a pen, write it on your hand. Hashtag no more bullies. And then take a picture of that, okay? Take a picture and send it to us and we'll put it onto Facebook, okay? Facebook is Caroline Martin, or you can send it via email and we'll put it over. It's the sanctuary at freeradio.co.uk. That's the sanctuary at freeradio.co.uk. No more bullies.
The best of the sanctuary.
Now, I'm going to have a chat to Alison, who's in Redditch. Hello, Alison.
Hello, Caroline.
Hello, my darling. Now, you know from experience what this feels like, don't you, Alison? Because you've been bullied.
Yeah, I was bullied at school, end of middle school and high school. But I think I kept quiet for a long, long time. But I did have good parents when they knew it was, and the school were very good and it was dealt with and helped, but it affects you. But a part of the problem is the children not speaking out and not asking for help. So, it could have been dealt with a lot quicker if I had have said something.
Why do you think you kept it in for so long?
I don't know. I think you just do. I think sometimes you believe what they're saying, don't you? Some people, when they're younger, are easily manipulated, I suppose, with what people say. I was brought up at that point. I was living with my dad, so I was getting it because he was a single father. So you're already on a downer over your parents splitting up or anything going on. And I suppose it's easy to kick somebody when they're down, isn't it? If people see a weakness, they'll jump on it.
Mm-hmm. Your son was then bullied, wasn't he? Did you see the signs?
I knew something was going on. And you ask and you ask, and I was getting nothing. And his behaviour got worse at home, and he's quite a good kid. So it was a big change in his behaviour. And after a while, he cracked and said what was going on at school. It took a long time to deal with it, with his emotions and things, and the school weren't very good at dealing with it. And they were quite nasty children that was threatening him. He was threatened in front of me.
In front of you?
Yeah, outside the school gates.
Threatened with what?
He was told he was going to get stabbed.
And how old was your son?
10.
How did you react? You're a mother standing with her 10-year-old son and you hear somebody threatening to stab him.
I questioned the child on why he felt that threat was right and what you're playing at, and I got swore at. So I picked my mobile up and rang the school. I'm stood outside the school. I rang the headmaster who was inside and got told that it was outside the school premises, wasn't his issue.
I can't actually believe that I'm hearing this tonight. It wasn't his issue. You were just stood...
It was outside school premises.
But yeah, he'd been bullied inside the school as well, and he'd had to... Now, you said that you saw the signs. What were the signs? Tell me the signs, because there are parents listening tonight that may not know what these signs are that they're looking out for.
I think everybody knows their own child. My children are quite bubbly, quite verbal, not in a shouty way, but if they've got an opinion, then they say it as long as it's politely and whatever. And he wasn't very within himself. He was very nasty towards his siblings, non-cooperative, sat in his room a lot, always looked teary but wouldn't admit it. Just had no interest in life. Behind the eyes, there was nothing. It was, there was no brightness to his eyes or anything. It was just like somebody had killed his soul.
As a mother, seeing that when you look into your child's eyes, that must almost destroy you.
It does, especially when you've been there. So, and I knew, you sort of know what was going on, but you've got to get him to admit it and who it is and everything else. And you know the signs if you've been through it yourself more than ever. And to try and get him to understand, it's quite frustrating to get that child to understand that if they just speak out now, you understand it can be dealt with. A lot of kids around those ages, they come up to teenage years and they don't want mum and dad in the school. They don't want you to fly off the handle to deal with anything because it's an embarrassment. The other kids at school have got more power over them. I think because it's a different life, isn't it, at school? It's different rules to the rest of us. They've got their own set of rules within their peer group as well as the school rules. So he was quite bright, but he's very sporty as well. And he'll mix with anybody. He doesn't stick to a group of people. If he likes you, he likes you. And I don't think people could suss that out. They couldn't understand why he was so liked. So they turned. But I ended up pulling him out of that school and putting him into another school. He'd been at this one 3 years, and I wanted him straight out of there, but he had some friends there and he didn't want to go, and it took a long time to convince him. Because I felt it had to be his choice as well. I wasn't going to take all power from him, and I wanted him to walk out the school with his head held high. Not, you've ran me out. So I put him in another school, and that headmaster was really good. A kid did assault him at the school within a month of being there. The headmaster had the child out the school within 20 minutes.
So that was swiftly dealt with then. What a complete difference to the first school.
Yeah, complete difference.
The best of the sanctuary.
Libby's in Rugby. Hi, Libby.
Hi.
This was horrendous, what you went through at school. Tell everybody what happened.
Well, it started from when I was in year 7, and I would go in and these guys would, push me to the floor and kick me and beat me up and call me names and spit on me and stuff.
This went on inside the school?
It'd be either on the playing field or in the school, and people would just walk past.
So you were being kicked and people ignored it and just carried on with what they were doing?
Yeah.
And how long did this go on for then, Libby?
Well, I've just left school now, so until I left.
Nobody came to help you?
No.
And did you not feel you had anybody to talk to? Did you tell anybody?
I tried to tell my tutor, but she never really listened.
How can somebody not listen when somebody's going through that?
She was just they're just messing about. It'll end by the end of the week and stuff.
Libby, you poor, poor thing. As I'm looking at this now, and this, it just absolutely turns my stomach, because there's more to this. They did more to you, didn't they?
They've stamped on my arm and They put a chair on my arm and it just cracked and it broke.
And those people have got away with doing this?
Yeah.
How did you explain that to your parents, a broken arm?
I just said I fell downstairs and they just leave me.
After being kicked and spat on and locked in cupboards, stamping on your arm, breaking your arm on the back of a chair, you still had to go back into that school for more, and you still didn't feel that you could tell anybody about it, your parents about it?
No. It wasn't as bad in the first 3 years, and then in year 10 and 11 it got really, really bad. In year 11 it got the worst, and I just said, well, I haven't got long left before I go to college, so I'll just go through it and hopefully when I go to college I won't be there.
Have you got support from your parents now?
Yeah, I have help groups and stuff online that I go on.
What did they say once they realised the severity of this, once they realised what you'd gone through?
They were shocked. They wondered why I didn't tell them, because I didn't tell them till after I was on study leave, and they just couldn't believe it. They couldn't see that they didn't realise.
So they've helped now, have they?
Yeah, because for a while I blamed my parents a lot, and I would get really angry, and I got in a lot of trouble at school and got close to being kicked out, and I was just taking it out on everybody else because that's what I felt was right to do at the time.
Well, Libby, after all that you've been through and after all these things were done to you, nobody can be surprised in you reacting that way and in you feeling that way. You must feel so let down almost by the system, by the teachers that you told that said that it would pass and they were only messing. How has it left you feeling?
It left me feeling very disappointed because when I started in year 7, there was an anti-bullying policy that everybody had in their logbook, and I remember we all had to sign it, and the teachers signed it as well, and I felt like they hadn't stuck to it.
And you say you've left there now and you're going to college, are you?
Yeah.
And have you started that?
Yes, I started on Tuesday, and I'm a lot happier now.
I can't believe what you've gone through, and you have been so strong. And I am so glad now that you've been able to tell your parents and that you're getting the help that you need and have needed for so long. Now, stay strong, okay? And can you tell anyone listening tonight, Libby, who may be being bullied, what do you wish you'd done, looking back on it?
I wish I'd told more than one person. When I was in year 10, I had a new tutor and a new geography teacher, and they were really trusting, and I never told them, and they used to ask. And I think you need to find someone you really, really trust and tell them, because if you don't, it's just going to get a lot worse.
The best of the sanctuary.
I just want to read you a few names. Roger Hilliard, aged 13. Darren Steele, aged 15. Stephen Woodhull, aged 12. 13-year-old Kelly Yeoman. Sean Noonan, aged 14. Aaron Armstrong, aged 12. Thomas Thompson, aged 11. 14-year-old Amy Rose Tipton. And Stephen Sandon, aged just 6. Those children, someone's son or daughter, are no longer with us. They were all bullied. They all took their own lives because they couldn't handle being bullied anymore. Now, these aren't random names. They are all children from the West Midlands. 1 in 12 children who are bullied attempt suicide. 8% of bullied kids try to take their own lives to escape being bullied. 1 in 12. God, that's got to stop. If we can do anything tonight to help, to make this stop, then we have to. They could be your children that are going through this, your nieces, your nephews, your godchildren, your next door neighbours' children. We have to do something to stop this. I'm seeing these messages from these children that are being bullied and they don't know where to turn to and they don't know who to talk to, and it's going on, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking. And each time we do it, I think maybe we will have made a difference and it's going to get a little bit better for somebody. And you know what? If it gets better for one person, then that will be a job well done. But one isn't enough. Okay, something needs to be done. I mean, 6 years old. Let that sink in. What must that 6-year-old have gone through to have felt that way? 6 years old.
The best of the Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary with Caroline.
At night, you talk.
Free radio.
Now, tonight, I want to talk about bullying, school bullying. Now, whether it's name-calling, physical abuse, spreading lies, homophobia, or doing it online, bullying has to stop at school. If you think that this is going on, don't ignore it. And I think that that message has to go for the teachers too. Let's try and make a start tonight to doing something about that. No more bullies.
The best of the Sanctuary.
Thank you for your messages tonight. I got one in and I put this on Facebook. I would like to stress that this was with permission, okay? I'm just going to read this to you before I talk to Alison. I had a message from a girl who says, Caroline, please help me. I'm being bullied at school and I have no one to turn to. These other girls are making every day a nightmare. They call me names, spit at me, pour drink on me, and have turned everyone against me. I have no friends. I did have a best friend who I played with, and I loved her. But she is now friends with them because they started picking on her too, and she's scared to talk to me. My teachers don't listen to me, and I daren't tell my mum as she'll cause a fuss and they'll hurt me more. I haven't been out over the holidays as I'm scared of bumping into them. I'm not going to eat anymore as they're calling me fat. I don't think I am fat, but they say it anyway. I've been back at school 2 days and I have bruises where they hurt me. When I go to sleep, I dream of having a friend, and that makes me happy. I then wake up and I cry. I don't think living is nice and I don't want to anymore. I want to go away forever. Will you help me, please? Because you have children and I think you'd help them, and I want someone to love me and make it better. The little girl that sent that to me was 10, is 10 years old. I put this on Facebook earlier on and I had lots of messages. You've got to do something about this. Before I put it on there, her mother is aware something is being done about it now, okay? And it is being dealt with. And the little girl is already feeling as if something is being done. I'm not going to lie to you and say she's feeling better now because, of course, it's early days, but she's feeling that something's being done. She is in a better place now that she has got help. And I think she's let it all out now. And, you know, people are aware of it and something is being done about it. But I do thank you for your concern. I had so many comments, so many messages to my inbox as well from people that just wanted to help this little girl. But I couldn't believe it. 10 years old, 10. And she's going through that. I would urge people tonight that are listening, if you are doing this, if you are one of the bullies, then please, will you listen to the effect that you are having on people's lives? Okay, so this isn't just now. This isn't just the here and now. This is for the future because it's never going to leave them. It will stay with them for always. As they're going through life, it will stay there and it scars people. So you may think that you're doing it for fun. You may think that you're doing it for a laugh. You may be doing it for vicious reasons. You may be doing it because you have been bullied yourself. And this is your way of of getting back at people, or it may be that things are bad for you at home, in which case, please, I urge you to use some of the numbers that we're going to be putting on our website and on Facebook to get help yourself tonight and to go and talk to somebody. But please don't take what's going out on you out on somebody else, because it ruins lives and it robs people of their lives.
The best of the sanctuary.
Hi to Ads, who's just sent an email, says, hi, keep telling adults until someone listens. It's far easier said than done. When you're bullied and made to feel worthless every day by all these people, you can tell maybe one or two people, but it doesn't take long to think maybe they're not listening because I deserve it, because I really am worthless. And that's from Ads on the email. You're not worthless. Anybody that's going through this, you deserve some help. You do not deserve to be going through what you're going through at anybody's hands. And I do keep urging you to talk to somebody, because somebody will be there to help. And we've got links on Facebook as well that will give you some advice. And we'll be talking to somebody very soon that can offer you even more advice. OK, so you just hold fire for that. Now, Lisa's in Hereford next. She was bullied. Sadly, she thought suicide was the only escape.
Hello?
Hello, my darling. How did your bullying start then? What happened to you?
Oh, I have no idea. It's just one day he just decided to put a target on my head, really. And that's just all what it was for about 4.5, going on 5 years.
This was at school?
Yeah.
So
From about year 7 to about halfway through year 10, beginning of year 11.
And what form did this bullying take, Lisa?
Most of it was, if he saw me walking by him, he'd spit in the path in front of me. I was called horrible names. He told me I was a failed abortion. That's why I'm so ugly. He spread a rumour that I weed myself in the assembly.
Right.
When I used to walk into the classroom, if he was in the class, he used to make the whole class laugh at me. He used to spread horrible rumours about me and tripped me over in a PE lesson.
4.5 years this went on for?
Yeah, every single day of school.
How did you get yourself to school, knowing that was what you were going to face?
It was hard. It was like I had lead in my shoes. I did not want to leave. I hated waking up every morning. The greatest thing was that last bell that I could go home in the evening, that I used to wait and literally count down on a calendar until the school holidays.
And did you have friends?
Yeah, I had a little group of friends. I wasn't the most social of people, but I had a little group of friends that I always used to be with who didn't like this particular person, so it kind of suited me even better.
Right. And did they used to protect you? Did they used to stick up for you?
Most of it they didn't really see. Like the lessons that I was in with him, they weren't in with me. So in the lessons that I had with him, I was kind of sat on my own at the back of the room hoping that he didn't notice me.
Can I ask, why did you think that suicide was the way out?
I don't know, it's when you feel that low and you hate having to know that you've got to wake up for school in the morning. It hurts to breathe in a way that you just really can't get the energy to go to school in the morning. Like looking at your uniform is like the bane of your life at that point in time, because you know that you're going to see that one person who seems to hate you so much when they don't even know you.
And did you not feel that you could talk to anybody?
Well, at the time that it started, really, and like the point when I wanted to end my own life as well, my uncle died.
Right.
And that was around about the time that I wanted to end my own life as well. I think that was kind of a bit of a thorn in the side as well, my uncle passing. And that's when I started finding little paracetamol sachets everywhere. And if I saw like the odd one laying around, I used to quickly sneak them into my sleeve or into my sock and then run upstairs. And I used to put them underneath my mattress. And I think I collected a few hundred of them over like the next couple of months.
Oh, my word. And how old were you at that point, Lisa?
I think I was about 12.
And what brought it to a head? Presumably it did stop. How?
It stopped in an English lesson, actually, and he said a comment about a hat I was wearing because it was too small and I had a ponytail at the time, and I put it on the back of my head. And he said, well, obviously, what a surprise, Lisa's clothes still don't fit her. She's probably had that hat since she was a baby. And I come out with a few swear words and I ran out the lesson.
And that was it? He never started on you after that?
No, I think he realised that it was done with then. Like, I spoke to the teacher, which I've been trying to talk to throughout the whole 4 years that it had been happening.
Yeah.
And I think because it finally made me literally scream, that the teacher himself actually finally realised how bad it was and that I wasn't just over-exaggerating, as he said.
But to have gone through that for all that time, 4.5 years, and then, to finally stand your ground with him, you stood up to him, you spoke to a teacher, and that is how it ended. Do you wish...
Pretty much, yeah, that's how it ended.
Do you wish that that you'd done that before?
No, because I've tried talking to my head of year that I spoke to over and over again, pretty much every single day. And all he kept saying was, he'll get bored eventually. That's all I got. So that in itself didn't want to make me tell anyone either.
What
so
a
in the end, I just got
pathetic
bored of
answer
telling him
to
as
give.
well.
What a pathetic answer to give. He'll get bored eventually.
Yeah.
I'm speechless, to be fair, that he can keep saying that and keep spurting that out for that length of time. Well, Lisa, look, we know that there are kids listening, some as young as 10 or younger, that are going through this. Tell them what to do, Lisa. They're being bullied. Tell them directly.
Just never stop telling people. Just tell until they actually listen. Even if you have to do what I do and just scream at the top of your lungs for someone to listen to you, just do whatever it takes for it to stop.
Lisa, thank you very much for talking to me tonight. Tell. I like that.
At night, you talk.
Tonight's simple message, I keep banging on, but no more bullies. That's what we're trying to drum in. No more bullies. Thank you for the pictures that you're sending in, the photos. I've asked people to write it on their hands. Hashtag no more bullies. Take a photo and then send it in and we will stick it onto Facebook, or you can put it onto Facebook. It's Caroline Martin, or email it and we'll put it straight over. The Sanctuary at freeradio.co.uk. That's The Sanctuary at freeradio.co.uk. No more bullies.
The best of the Sanctuary.
Leon's in Coventry. Hi, Leon.
Hiya.
Hello. Now, what did you write on your hand, Leon?
I wrote on my hand, I might be gay, but I am still human. Stop bullying.
Is this what happened to you at school?
It was, yes.
So tell me about that then, Leon.
Basically, my last year of school, I didn't go to school because in my last year of school, I got sexually abused. And I confided in a couple of my friends about that, and it got out at school, and I had a lot of trouble at school for that and for being gay.
These friends, they thought that they would go tell everybody because?
I don't know. I trusted them as friends, but as friends, they obviously wasn't friends. My number ended up on a train station wall, where my number was right on the toilets, and I had a lot of people ringing me. A lot of older guys, and I ended up meeting one of the guys who I ended up getting abused by.
All of these stories that we're getting in tonight, the different aspects of all of this and what you have all gone through. I know that so many people are going to be listening tonight and they're just doing what I'm doing. I struggle to even think what you've gone through and what it's been like for you, Leon.
It was horrible. I didn't do my GCSEs because of it. Because every day I was meant to go to school, I just ragged school. And my parents tried to take me to school, even in my last year, and they delivered me to my reception at my school, and I would still then find the nearest exit and I'd leave.
Did you never feel that you could confide in them?
Yeah, my mum and dad have always been very supportive. When I got abused, they didn't know about it. It wasn't until I told one of my teachers at school, and it was then when my school had to phone my mum and dad and try and explain it to my mum and dad. My head of year was very, very supportive of me, and she sat there and she told my mum and dad, but even she found it hard because she even sat there crying when she told them.
And your mum and dad, what was their reaction?
I sat outside when my head of year told my mum and dad, but then I went into the room afterwards and my mum and dad were just in tears and felt that they hadn't done enough to protect me or to do them as much as they could.
So you didn't do your GCSEs. So where are you at in life now then, Leon?
Now I own a very successful party company. It hasn't stopped me in life. I might not have had my GCSEs, but I had a very supportive boyfriend. But it still doesn't change. I might be successful in life, but it still doesn't change what happened. because that'll always stay with me. But there is a way out there that you can carry on with life. It's not at the end of it.
I asked people tonight, I've asked most people tonight what they would say. What would you say to those bullies now if they were listening? If those people that made your life a misery were listening now, what would you say to them, Leon?
What would I say? I would say that I'm a very successful person and I'm probably much further in life than they are, and I hope they regret what they did and how they wrecked my life.
What would you feel if you met one of them?
I'd probably just be a bigger person and look them in the eye and think, I've done a lot better than you have in life. I think I'm not letting you get to me, I'm not letting you wreck my life.
There are people listening tonight that are going through, I don't know, similar to you. They're going through abuse. They're being bullied at school. What would you say to them? What would your advice be to them, Leon?
I tell them to go and speak to somebody and not to trust their best friend, even though their best friend might be there, but to go and speak to their parents because they would be more understanding than they probably think they would be.
The best of the sanctuary.
Now, I realise tonight that we've talked to an awful lot of people that this has happened to. I do want to talk to somebody, though, that can be of some help to you, some practical help. So I'm going to talk to Richard Piggin from Cyber Mentors. Hello, Richard.
Hi there.
Hello, Richard. Good of you to speak to me tonight.
No problem.
So obviously you're aware of what we're talking about, what we're discussing tonight. I've got to say, it's just an absolutely heartbreaking subject. I mean, I've been looking at the messages that have been coming in all day onto Facebook and people's reactions to all of this. And you deal with this quite a lot, don't you?
We deal with this every day. We have young people coming to us as an organisation as Beat Bullying, but also coming to our Cyber Mentors website because they're being bullied, because they're being faced with sometimes a relentless barrage of abuse from their peers, and they don't know what to do about it.
Mm-hmm. And how would you advise them then? What would you say to them?
Well, they've made that first step already in the fact that they're talking about it and they're turning to someone. The worst thing for a lot of young people is that they think it's their fault and they've got no one to turn to. So the first step is telling someone, because there are people out there who can help you, and that's the first step. The second thing is to remember that it's not your fault, that it can happen to anyone, and that something can be done about it. That there are people there that can support you, that you don't have to tolerate it, that it's something that you shouldn't accept, and that these people will help you overcome it. Children don't want to admit to it, and sometimes the last people that they want to tell is their parents, because they either think their parents won't understand what it's like, or they'll think that their parents might overreact and do something that will make it worse. They might, barge into the school if it's happening at school, or if it's online, they might say, well, okay, you can't go on Facebook, or we'll take away your mobile phone, which is what no child really wants. So there's a reluctance to tell, their parents, but the important thing is that it doesn't always have to be your parents that you tell, or a teacher that you tell. That's why we run Cyber Mentors, which is young people themselves that we've trained, to be able to provide a little bit of support and advice. So you can actually tell someone your own age. It might be your mate, it might be one of your friends at school, or someone you can trust, or it could alternatively be someone online like our Cyber Mentors who you can turn to and tell them what's going on, and they will understand. They're your own age, and they can offer you a bit of advice and support so that you're not dealing with it by yourself. And it might be that in the end, that advice and support gets you to that place where you can actually tell your parents and not feel too ashamed or embarrassed or scared about telling your parents, and they can then help.
Can you tell me a bit, Richard, about Cyber Mentors, how you set this up, why it came about, if indeed it was you? Tell me a bit about it. Why?
Beat Bullying as an organisation has been running for 10 years now, and we've always worked on the premise of the power of peer mentoring, the power of children to be able to take responsibility and to do something about tackling bullying themselves. And we've trained peer mentors in schools for 10 years. So we've trained young people as anti-bullying mentors who can provide a little bit of support advice. They're trained in what bullying is, how to spot it, how to understand it, all the different things that goes on with it, the effects and the consequences, and the sort of help that they can provide, the support that they can provide. And traditionally, that's always been in school, at lunchtime or at break time, because it's often perceived that bullying does happen in school. But with the rise of the internet and the use of mobile phones, particularly amongst young people, we've seen a rise in the amount of cyberbullying, and we've seen the rise in the way in which young people communicate with each other online. So we've taken our peer mentoring program and put it online. So we've trained and we still train these young people in schools to act as peer mentors in their schools, to change the culture within their school. But they can also act as peer mentors online. So if you're being bullied and you're being bullied at 8 o'clock at night, or you're being bullied in the school holidays and there's no peer mentor in your school that you can talk to, who do you turn to then? You can turn to one of our cyber mentors on a dedicated website, cybermentors.org.uk, and you can talk to someone your own age. And these young people have been trained. They get 2 days training from Beat Bullying, and they can provide, a listening ear, a bit of support, a bit of advice, someone who understands the situation. And we found it an incredibly effective way of reaching a lot of vulnerable young people who might not have ever told someone. If it hadn't been for this service, they find it easier to, and I can understand that. You find it easier to tell someone online and type it, into a screen, because there's that distance. You don't have to tell someone face to face, which can be really difficult if you're 12, 13, 14.
How true is that? I think that's why I get a lot of emails about it, because I'm just a voice,
Yeah.
and they're not going to meet me, and it's absolutely, it breaks my heart to see these emails coming in from people, children 10 years old, that are going through this. Nobody deserves to go through it, but children, that should be a time when they go, they shine, they have fun, and they live life, and that's where your memories are made as well at school. And for them to come out of that school with memories of being spat on, pinched, bullied, and all the things that go with it, it just absolutely breaks my heart. But listen, Richard, I know for a fact that we have those kids listening tonight. There are children listening tonight that are being bullied, people in school. What would you say directly to them?
It's not their fault. It's not your fault. It can happen to anyone. The most important thing is to tell someone. And it doesn't matter who you tell. If you don't want to tell your parents or your teacher, there are people you can talk to. Talk to one of our cyber mentors. Tell someone, and then understand that there are people who can help and who will change the situation for you, and that there is hope out there is help out there, and just tell someone.
Once again, Richard, how do they get hold of you? What's the address?
Log on to cybermentors.org.uk, and there will be young people as well as professional counsellors and advisors on there, but there are young people on there who will be there to listen to you and to talk to you and provide you with some support.
Tonight's simple message: no more bullies. That's what we're trying to drum in. No more bullies.
At night, you talk.
Now, we are talking about a subject tonight that is actually, very hard at times to listen to, because we don't want to think that it's happening to anybody. But it is. And so we're talking about bullying, school bullying. We've done this a few times before, but never just about school bullying. And I felt that the time was right to do it because, people have gone back to school across the Midlands, and they are going back into school, sometimes dreading each day. Now, whether it's name-calling, physical abuse, spreading lies, homophobia, or doing it online, bullying has to stop at school. And frankly, I don't care how hard it is to hear. It needs to be heard.
The best of the sanctuary.
We've got Lynn in Dudley. Hi, Lynn.
Hiya.
Hello, Lynn. So now this is a positive story in that the school that your son attended was great, yeah?
Yeah, at first there wasn't. It was a different head teacher. And even though he was a fantastic head teacher, he was a lovely guy. But where it was the fact that, like a lot of schools, bullying doesn't happen in our school. Bullying doesn't happen in our school. And I'd been going on and on and on and on that he was being bullied, and he's different. And the new teacher came in, and he had a new class teacher. And straight away, the teacher was like, "Yeah, I understand. Something's going on. I'll talk to him." And the headmaster the new head teacher got involved. And he said, the first thing I want to do is try and get him into a drama group, try and get his confidence up. We're going to sort out the bullies. And he's done what he said he's done, what he was going to do. And at their school, they have a bully initiative. And they signed up, I think it's with Dudley Council. And they have, he went to one workshop where I had to attend as well, where they try and get the children
to, if they are being bullied, first they tell an adult, tell a teacher, tell somebody. That's the most important thing they want to get through to them. Secondly, how to, if they are calling them names, how to react to them, how to be with them. And if you can throw back something like, oh, you've got glasses on, oh, you're specky four eyes or something like that, the child can turn around and say, yeah, all for better seeing you with. You know, just throwing something back at them to try and turn the tables back on them. And it was a good workshop, but it brought a lot of insecurities back to him because it felt so real to him. But the school have never, ever have given up on him since this new head teacher has come in. They're not saying, oh, we've tried to deal with it and it's all, you know, it's not happening. They admit that some children do get bullied, whether or not it's just name calling or whether or not it's physical or whether or not it's any type of bullying. They are there, and he will sit down and he will listen to you, and he'll listen to all your concerns, and he will go to the child and talk to the child as well. And that's what we need, more people, more schools like that, because a lot of schools are saying, no, it doesn't happen, because if there is bullying in a school, it has to be reported. It has to go somewhere in a file. So when the Ofsted go, it's like, you've had a case of bullying there. You know, oh, you do have a lot of bullying at this school. What are you doing about it? And, of course, it doesn't look good for them. So they try and sweep it all underneath the carpet.
Well, how amazing that this headmaster actually did something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that he's not being bullied now. He's still being bullied now in different ways. But as the teacher has said to my son, you need to come and tell us. We can't do anything unless you tell us what's happening. If you don't tell us something's happened, we can't do nothing. You need to come and tell us. And that's, I think, is one of the messages that we have to get through to these children, that you have to go and tell an adult. And if that adult won't listen, you go and tell another adult, and you go and tell another adult, and you go and tell until somebody listens to you.
What happened to what action was taken against the bullies, Lynn?
They are spoke to, and they try to get them to understand what they are doing. And I have to admit that some of the children that have been bullying him are not bullying him now. But they do, if they do find out, if he comes to them and say, he's tricked me over, for example, and he did it on purpose, and they find out that it wasn't an accident and he did do it on purpose, then they deal with it straight away.
Right.
Whatever consequence they are going to deal with it. And that's the thing, that a lot of schools don't do that. It's like a couple of teachers that he had before this new head teacher came along. It was like, okay, go and play nicely, go and play fair.
So they'd kind of like sweep it under the mat, so to speak.
Yeah, and then they all say, oh, it's fine, everything's fine, you know, you've got nothing to worry about. But when your child is then licking his lips that hard that they are so sore and so red, and then when it comes to the holidays, they clear up, and then after the holidays, his lips start going back like that. You know that there is a problem, and he's he's such a bubbly little boy. He's only 8, and he's such a bubbly little boy, and he wants to be friends with everybody. He's such a friendly little boy that some people find him a bit overpowering sometimes, I suppose. But when he starts to withdraw and starts going quiet, you know, like another listener said, they know how their child is. They know what signs to look for, especially when you've been bullied yourself, like I was when I was at school. You know the signs, and you try not to let them know that you're worried, but you have to be say you have to be, in one way, tough with them to say that, no, you have to go to school. If you don't go to school, then, you know, Mommy and Daddy are going to go to prison. You have to be really, really tough with them. But at the same time, you have to be watching out for them, and you have to be on at the school all the time. And with me, if there is a problem, I go, right, okay, go right to his teacher and say, look, this has happened today. And she'll say, I don't know anything about it. Peter, why haven't you told me? And it's like, well, I don't know. And it's getting him now to gain his confidence again.
Yeah.
And the belief that they are doing something about it.
Can I ask you, Lynn, just how many of these children are bullying him or have been bullying him?
It's there was quite a few in the school, but there was going from right across the school.
Right.
And because he's different, they can see him as an easy target. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does make perfect sense. I just wonder how, because if you know who these children are, you must also know who their parents are.
Oh, yes.
So does that make it difficult? Because I would have great problems in that respect if I was stood next to the parent of a child that was bullying my child, not to open my mouth, I think.
I have to have a certain amount of self-control because I really do want to turn around and hit them one because sometimes a lot of the bulliers are literally, their parents are literally the same as what they are. So whether or not it's it's something that's, you know, my mum's like this so I can be like this, or my dad's like this so I can be like that, I don't know. And the thing is, he goes to a Catholic school. So the school he goes to, he actually comes from out of the area. So he doesn't actually have many children. Well, I say out the area, we have to travel to get to the school. He doesn't have many friends that are literally on the estate where he comes from.
Right.
It goes to that school. And what children are on the estate, they are actually either quite older than him or quite younger than him. And I'm not one of these parents that lets my child run around the street, that is not a street child. And he has his own friends outside school, and he gets on really, really well with them. But a lot of where the school is, it's quite a rough area.
Right, okay.
A brilliant school, but a rough area. And obviously, when you look at some of the parents, you think, oh my God, you know what I mean? No wonder their child is turned out the way that they've turned out.
It must take, for me, it would take given the size of my gob, it would take a remarkable amount of self-control not to sort of like be at them, rah, your child has done this. I think that you've contained yourself very well there.
Attacked me in the tried to attack me in the playground.
Why?
Because her son was one of the bullies.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually bully him so much now. It's very rarely he mentions this child's name now. Very, very rarely. And it's always everybody's picking on her child. Everybody's picking on her child. Her child can't do nothing wrong. And he came out with a scratch. And he said it was my son that's done it. And she literally was going wild at me in the playground. Your son's a bully. I'm sick and tired of your son bullying my son and whatever. And the teacher turned around and says, oh, hang on. You know, it's your child that's the bully, not the other way around. You know.
Certainly told her then.
She didn't like it. She did not like it at all. And we have to show not only the children that they are the bullies, but we have to show the parents of the bullies that their children are bullies as well.
The best of the sanctuary.
If you could see the amount of messages that I've got in, the amount of calls that we've had tonight, then you would be astonished. And it's just so hard to read some of these. Some children so young going through this, so very, very young. That is what's heartbreaking about it, to be fair. Messages as well. Hi, Caroline. I was bullied at school and nothing was done until I was attacked by a gang of 4. I missed 6 weeks off school. I was 15 and I failed my GCSEs. It stays with you for life. I lack confidence and I hate crowds. All the lad got was a good talking to by the police after the attack. We need tougher punishments for bullies, says Miggs in West Bromwich. Hi to Chloe, who says, my friend was bullied so much she tried to kill herself in the maths class. It was horrible. The boys thought they were just having a laugh, but it really shook my friend up. I had to watch her do it and help her through it all. And somebody else has messaged to say, I've been bullied all my school life and I've tried to kill myself and self-harm. But I'm bisexual, Caroline. Is it so bad to be different? Please read this out. I'm 13. What can I do? We have put some helpline numbers onto Facebook, so please do go and check them out. It's Caroline Martin. They're there. You can go and have a look at them. They may help you out, okay? There may be one there that can help you out. But please, I do urge you. So many messages. I can't tell my parents. They'll go up to the school. It will be made worse. Please, please try. Because I know you think that as parents we don't understand, but we do. And the chances are we've either been through it ourselves or we have witnessed one of our friends go through it or we've seen it happen. And we just want you to tell us, to talk to us so that we can help you. Please talk. I'm hearing from people that have gone through this all their school lives. Imagine that. Every day spent in dread of walking through those gates and getting in there for yet more abuse. It's absolutely awful. No more bullies.
At night, you talk.
Now, whether it's name-calling, physical abuse, spreading lies, homophobia, or doing it online, bullying has to stop at school. This is going on in our schools, okay? We send our children to. Now, I'll stress that not all of them are bad. I'll stress that it's not happening in every single one of them, but it is happening in some. And it needs to stop because we send our children to these schools. We entrust these teachers to look after our children. There are some amazing, fantastic teachers about, but also, I've got to say, looking at these messages tonight and what's going on, there's some damn terrible ones. I would urge people tonight that are listening, if you are doing this, if you are one of the bullies, then please, will you listen to the effect that you are having on people's lives? Okay, so this isn't just now. This isn't just the here and now. This is for the future because it's never going to leave them. It will stay with them for always. As they're going through life, it will stay there and it scars people. So you may think that you're doing it for fun. You may think that you're doing it for a laugh. You may be doing it for vicious reasons. You may be doing it because you have been bullied yourself. And this is your way of getting back at people. Or it may be that things are bad for you at home, in which case, please, I urge you to use some of the numbers that we're going to be putting on our website and on Facebook to get help yourself tonight and to go and talk to somebody. But please don't take what's going on out on you out on somebody else because it ruins lives. Nobody deserves to go through some of the things that I'm reading tonight.
The best of the sanctuary.
Val is in Kidderminster. Hi, Val.
Hiya.
You know all about being bullied, don't you?
I know about I know what it's like, and it's not nice. I've grown up with being bullied at school. I got slapped. I got pushed around. Someone decided to bag me in a PE class,
right,
and pull my trousers down in front of everyone. So that was embarrassing. But I mean, I currently suffer from depression, and I've taken time off college. But some people at college have decided to take their hate and turn it into words that I don't like, and decided to call, text, and message me on Facebook and draw pictures on Facebook And it's silly, just calling me things like saying I'm fat and saying I'm a cripple because I've broken my foot as well, and calling me ginger because I have red hair. Yeah, little things like that.
Little things. These aren't little things, are they? They're things that all...
To me, yeah, obviously
they're big things.
I mean, obviously it's big. It's a big thing, I've taken the steps. I've told the college what had been going on. And they're dealing with it. But at the end of the day, I've had it, and I'm the one that's going to be stronger out of it, and they're just going to be the pathetic people that go around getting a kick out of hurting other people.
And how,
like me.
I know that you're going to be strong and, you called them little things, but they are big things when they all mount up and you sat there and you're going through them all, the name calling and everything that's going on. And you say that you're depressed anyway. It does get to you. And
it does.
There could well be people out there tonight listening that are the ones that are doing this to you. What would you say to them?
But they're the ones that are pathetic. They're the ones that need to grow up. I mean, I've got my ambitions and I know what I want from life. No words or anything like that can hurt me. Well, they can hurt me, but not for the long run.
So they're not going to stand...
They're not going to stand in my way. Yeah. No, it kind of... The words they say, I think it makes me stronger, if that makes sense.
It does, and it's a good way to look at it.
I think it's crucial that if other people are having the same issue, being bullied either face-to-face or via cyberbullying, I think it's crucial that people tell the right people. Mm. Because it can just go on and on and on, and it's not worth it.
Now, you say you've told people your college, Val, and they're doing something about it, but how long have they been doing something about it for? How long has this been going on?
Well, it's only I only had to write, because it's only been going on the past week, but I've had to write in a statement, and I've just left it with the student services team at college to deal with.
So you do have, there's obviously... Do you know who these people are?
Yeah, I know them, and I know who they are.
Right. Other than the fact that they're getting at you because you've got red hair and you say they're calling you fat, is there any other reason for them to have taken against you like this, or have they just kind of like singled you out of in the crowd?
Apart from being singled out, which I always have been, and well, I shouldn't. I guess no one should have to be used to a situation like that, but you have to move on. It hurts me. I do think about it. I think about it. There's not a day, I'll sit there and I'll think about what this past year, because it's been a rocky road, but...
You certainly seem to have come through this stronger. Obviously I didn't know you before, but you seem determined, Val, to, achieve...
I am. I'm studying music tech, and my one thing that keeps me going, as strange as that is my music. Mm. If I didn't have a passion for my music, I don't know where I'd be.
Well, thank goodness for your music, and thank goodness that you do appear to be coming through this stronger, and it's made you determined.
It always helps if people are told and the right people are told, because the situation can then be sorted.
The best of the sanctuary.
Right, Laura's in Coventry. Now, Laura, you were bullied yourself when you were at school, weren't you? What form did this bullying take then, Laura?
Through primary school, all the way through secondary school, it would be just taunting, people calling names. I was a little bit shy then, so they've just found something that they could pick on.
Yeah.
Because I was a little bit different. People can pick on a small thing and blow it up out of proportion, and then just use it to make you feel small, make you feel useless. It happened all the way through primary school and secondary, and I would just avoid catching the bus where it would happen more often. I tried to stay off school.
So you're telling me, Laura, that all through your school years, primary and secondary, every single time you went into that school, somebody was bullying you, and they say that the school years are the happiest years of your life. It sounds to me like yours were just hell.
It didn't quite work out that way, no. I told my parents a few times, and they called the school. We spent several meetings with year heads, with the bullies themselves, talking about how they were making me feel, how they should stop. But it would just change slightly. It would be in a different place. It would be a different way. It would be different people. And it made me feel completely useless. Mm. It did come to a point where I did snap, and I hit one of the bullies in the face because I didn't know what else to do. But I felt so guilty about doing that the next day I went into the school and I told my year head what I'd done because I felt bad for hurting somebody else.
Even though they'd hurt you for years?
Even though I just couldn't, I felt so guilty for it. Then I had the opportunity to ask why, to ask the person who had been doing this to me for 4 or 5 years, like ask them why is it that you want to make me feel rubbish? Like, what will it be that will make you stop? What do I have to do to make you stop? And they basically said, there's nothing you can do to make us stop. You would have to die in order for that to happen. At that point, that was what I was thinking. That was the way I was thinking. And I made the decision to tell them that, to say, yeah, that's how I feel. That's exactly what has been going through my head. And I think at that point it made them think how much it had hurt me and how much it had made me feel that I was nothing. They tried to explain to me that they were having a really difficult time, that things were happening in their lives that they needed to take out on somebody, and it just happened that I was that person.
Did the bullying carrying on after that? Did it carry on?
Yes, it did. But somehow I could kind of understand, and it kind of got that I had felt so small that it kind of felt that it was better that it was me than it was anybody else.
So what, in your mind, it was like, while you were putting up with this and while you were dealing with it, it would save somebody else through having to go through the same hurt and the same emotion that you were?
Yes. If those bullies were going to need to take it out on somebody, better it was me, that I'd put up with it for a long time. I already felt completely rubbish, and I couldn't understand how to express how I was feeling, and I took it out on myself. But better it was me than somebody else end up feeling the way I was.
Do you know what? That is just a really brave way of looking at it. I've got to hand it to you, to be going through all of that and to be thinking of other people and not yourself. You must be some remarkable person. Let me tell you, Laura, really, you must be. And it turns out that you now help others going through the same sort of thing, don't you? How do you do that then, love?
I went to university and trained to be a youth worker. And so through the work that I do with young people now, I try to advocate for anti-bullying. But I also am a volunteer for the charity called Beat Bullying, who run a program called Cyber Mentors, where they train young people in schools, senior mentors who are aged over 18, and counsellors who we run an online service where young people can come and talk about any issue, but it is primarily for bullying and cyberbullying. They can come on, just chat with somebody their own age, somebody who might have gone through the same sort of experience. And we try to encourage them to either talk to somebody at school, talk to a teacher, find ways to block the cyberbullying. There are measures on all of the social networking sites that they can report it or block it. And just to try and encourage people that they don't deserve this.
The best of the sanctuary.
Tonight's simple message: no more bullies. If you could do what we've done, and that's just write it on your hand. Go get a pen, write it on your hand. Hashtag no more bullies. And then take a picture of that, okay? Take a picture and send it to us and we'll put it onto Facebook, okay? Facebook is Caroline Martin, or you can send it via email and we'll put it over. It's the sanctuary@freeradio.co.uk. That's the sanctuary@freeradio.co.uk. No more bullies. Nobody deserves to go through some of the things that I'm reading tonight. Now, I know we say that this show is just for adults, but I'm not stupid. I know that kids listen, all right? But tonight, I hope that the message sinks in. I'm glad that they're listening tonight. And I can see by the messages that you are. Don't worry, I'm not going to call you back and get you into any bother, or myself, because I can't, because you're not old enough. But I do want you, when you get a minute, to look at my Facebook page, okay? Because I put some anti-bullying websites on there that may help you. And parents as well. If you know or you suspect that your kids are going through it, go and have a look on there. In fact, there must be websites too on what to look out for. if you suspect your children are being bullied. So we're going to get some of those and put those on there too, because there are signs that you need to look out for. Sometimes you can't tell that anything's going on. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. I already told you that story. But sometimes there are signs to look out for. So we'll look for that and put them on Facebook. It's Caroline Martin. That's Caroline Martin. Go and have a look.
At night, you talk.
No more bullies. This is the message I want to get across tonight. No more bullies. I want to talk to Abby in Coventry. One more call on this tonight from Abby, whose daughter is 7 and is being bullied. Hello, Abby.
Hi.
Hello, Abby. 7 years old. Your daughter is 7 years old.
It's slowing down, but obviously she's been suffering since she's been in reception. It got worse as she went into year 1. And even worse when she went into year 2, and she's just gone into year 3 now. So I'm hoping it doesn't start up again.
So,
but yeah, it's not very nice.
It must. I can't imagine. My little girl, Willow, has just started school, and I can't imagine if anything like that happened to her. It's just heartbreaking. How? Why? What was occurring?
Oh, it started in reception. It just started, I know, sometimes boys can be quite boisterous and push and shove and things like that. And when they're lining up for cues, and sometimes they pull girls' pigtails, and, just little petty stuff like that it started off as. And that's all I heard about in the reception years. And then as she got into year 1, it got worse. She got spat on. She got... this is all by the same boy. She got pushed in the line. She got pushed out over all the time. She was coming home with great knees. I used to put her hair up really pretty, and used to come out ripped out, and all the bobbles and her bows gone. And I said, where they've gone, and obviously his name kept coming up saying, I thought, oh, okay. And then I goes, it might just be boys being silly. And I asked to talk to the teacher, and the teacher said, yeah, we'll sort it. And it's like banging my head against a brick wall, really, because it just kept happening. And then as she went into year 2, it got even worse. And obviously the boy's getting older as well, and obviously she's getting older. And it's only then when it came to light what was actually going on. Now, he was wrecking her work. He was basically haunting her and following her around everywhere. No matter where she went, he was basically there. Now, this, over the years, has had an impact on her behaviour towards her own family, towards her sister, her older sister and her younger brother, in a way that she feels she can't lash out at school, so she lashes out at them.
Yeah.
And my 2 daughters, there's only a year between them in the school. And when she was in year 1, her sister was in year 2, so they were on the same playground in the lower school. So when she went up to year 2, the older one went up to upper school, so they weren't on the same playground. So she missed her sister, which is another reason why this boy started picking on her again. Right. And it got worse because her sister wasn't there to protect her, which is sad, really, because you shouldn't have to rely on your big sister to protect you at school when you should be protected anyway.
Yeah.
And her teachers noticed her confidence dropped. She wasn't as chatty and bubbly as she usually was. I don't know, she used to cry all the time to go to school. Mummy, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school, please don't want to go to school. And I used to go in to take her in, and she was literally glued to me. And her one teacher that she had last year was amazing. She helped her through it. She helped her get more confidence to talk about it, and what was going on, what he was doing. And but I could still see the behaviour was affecting my daughter. I mean, she literally soiled her pants a lot all the time. She was literally pooing herself over the sport of going to school, and it wasn't nice. She was 6 at the time. It wasn't nice. She thought, what can you do? So I thought I'd ask the parents. I'd confront the parents, because the school weren't doing anything. So I confronted the father first, and then he's an older gentleman. So, and I confronted him, and I got told that he knows nothing about it, and it's the school's problem, not his. And I said, okay. And then he basically went to the head teacher and told the head teacher off on me. and they phoned me up saying, "Oh, you can't do this, we'll deal with it." I said, "Well, you're not dealing with it," so I took it into my own hands. This is on the playground, so obviously they had a right to say something. So next time I had a talk with them was outside the school. And again, they twit-tailed on me and they tried to tell me that I couldn't say anything. I said, "Hang on a minute, it's outside school. You can't say anything. If I'm saying something to protect my daughter, I'm entitled to." And I goes, "Well, my daughter's been going through it for years. You're not doing anything about it, so I'm stepping up to do something about it. And now all of a sudden you're interested." So it was fighting. It was like fighting an endless battle. And my daughter kept saying to me, "Well, Mummy, she weren't speaking up." Now, even in her school report, her teacher put down that there was an incident with her confidence and things like that at the beginning of the year, and she saw her come out of her shell and things like that. So it was put down in an official report, but still nothing's done.
How can you stand aside as a parent? I mean, because it must have been so hard. If you're seeing a child of any age go through this is heartbreaking. But a child, from reception into, for the first couple of years through school, that this is going on. That this is one particular child that's making her life an absolute misery. The teacher knows about it as well, and yet nothing is done about it. And it's affecting her at home. It's affecting her with her siblings, with the rest of the family. Why didn't they do more?
I have no idea. As I said, I did everything. I actually went to the higher education department as well. I called them up and they said, "We can't do anything unless you report it through the school." And I said, "Well, I've tried going through the school and talking to the school, but they're not doing anything." Now, they assured me that he'd be kept away. Now, apparently they've said that the kid has problems or certain issues, and they are aware of it and they're dealing with it. But as I see it, he's not being dealt with. He's just given special treatment. Like he hangs around with the teachers and goes to the front of the line and things like that.
Yeah.
Then there was an incident where I was walking across the playground to pick them up. So obviously you have 3 children to pick up from the school, and they was lining up to go in from a play that they had on the playground, and he walked out of the line, went up to her, pulled her hair, went back, and it was in front of the teacher.
And nothing was done.
And I went up to her and said, "Hang on, what?" She was in floods of tears. And I goes, she was putting her hand up, and they was just telling her to put her hand down. I goes, "But she's just been hurt." And so I took her out the line and I was cuddling her and said, "Can she get back in line?" I goes, "No, she's not. But she's upset. She's coming with me." "No, you can't do that." I goes, "Yes, I can. She's my daughter. I'm taking her now." It was 3 o'clock, so she was only finished in 15 minutes anyway. And they were telling me that I couldn't take her, I couldn't console her. And then the teacher that actually teaches her came out to me and said, what's going on? And I told her, and they said, "Oh, okay, she can go with her and console her." I goes, well, I don't need your permission. I entrust my kids in their care every day, and I think to myself, if that's going on and she's left to cry, no wonder she feels like nobody likes her or nobody's her friend, or she feels so low.
I don't know, actually, Abby, how you've kept it together for so long and how you've been so patient for so long. And I know that you say it's got better now, but seriously, if they don't do anything about it, this is going to affect her forever. I would take it as high as it can possibly go and even consider another school or something like that. I just think that the story is hideous, absolutely hideous. I mean, there are some that would say that you are lucky in the respect that you know what's going on, but to know for all these years and they're still not doing anything about it, that is just absolutely ridiculous. But as we've learnt tonight, some parents never know. They never even seem to find out.
The best of the sanctuary.
Can't believe that. All those years and it's still happening. Totally ridiculous. Now, we've talked to a lot of people tonight. As I said at the beginning of the show, we could do this all night. We could be here until I think the breakfast show starts in the morning. I do apologise if we haven't got to read your message out. We have had so very many messages, texts coming in, emails coming in. So thank you very much for those. Now, I've already read this out once tonight, but I want to read a few names that I read earlier. Roger Hilliard, aged 13. Stephen Woodhull, aged 12. 13-year-old Kelly Yeoman. Aaron Armstrong, 12. Darren Steele, aged 15. Sean Noonan, aged 14. Thomas Thompson, aged 11. 14-year-old Amy Rose Tipton. And Stephen Sandon, aged just 6. Those children, someone's son or daughter, are no longer with us. They were all bullied. They all took their own lives because they couldn't handle being bullied anymore. These aren't random names, they are all children from the West Midlands. 1 in 12 children who are bullied attempt suicide. 1 in 12. 8% of bullied kids try to take their own lives to escape being bullied. That has got to stop. No more bullies. I really want to get that in tonight. Whether this show has made a difference, I don't know. I think that we've got it out there a little bit more. Maybe I've had messages that say, I saw this post tonight and I've sat down with my child. They've just started school. They've just started high school and I've told them what to do if they are ever bullied. If it's made a conversation happen between parent and child, I think that that is a positive thing tonight and that is a good way forward. Thank you so much for all your messages. Thank you for all your comments and thank you for your support on this tonight. Remember, all those support lines are on Facebook. Caroline Martin, please do check them out, okay? And use them. Use them. No more bullies. 6 years old. Let that sink in. What must that 6-year-old have gone through to have felt that way? 6 years old.
Can't kiss her goodbye, but I promise to try.